Why do a job and submit to a boss when it's just better to submit to a husband? I have no idea. These weird narratives out there. Hey there, my handsome and pretty little Cobras, and welcome back to the Cobras Nest. For those of you who are new, my name is Mignon Cobra and I make minimalism videos. So today's video is not particularly minimalistic, but my channel is for all things of interest to me, and so if it's of interest to me, I'm sure it's of interest to you. So today's video is the stay-at-home girlfriend trend, and I wanted to share my thoughts and opinions on it and why I'm not the biggest fan of it. I originally wanted to name this The Dangers of the stay-at-home girlfriend trend. That sounds a little bit clickbaity, but if I change my mind and it's up there, then you guys know why, because like I legit couldn't think of any better title at like 10 at night. Anyway, I got 5 things that I want to talk about, and I'll give you a little breakdown so you can skip along if you're interested in any of those things. So number 1, financial abuse. Number 2, years out of the workforce. Number 3, asking a man for money is hard. Number 4, what will you do if he leaves? And number 5, what will you do if he cheats? So without further ado, let's just get into the video. Let's get it. Let's go. Woo. So I obviously got inspired by this, by TikTok and everything that's like trending and hot on TikTok. The Nara Smith videos, Kendall K, that whole batch of traditional wives, stay-at-home girl trends. And obviously I know, I watched enough of these to know that someone is going to argue and say,
yeah, but like they're also content creators, social media, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, I know that. We all know that. But I just kind of want to touch upon the trend itself for the people who are not content creators and actually are inspired to live this life, because why do a job and submit to a boss when it's just better to submit to a husband? I have no idea. These weird narratives out there. But I just want to share my take on these because I do think that trend, my first and foremost gut reaction was right. I mean, wasn't the whole point of women fighting to vote was so that they could be independent? Not sure. Like, yeah, I mean, not sure why. Okay, I'm actually sure. As somebody who works, I get it. No one wants to work. I don't want to work. So I get the allure of this, especially because it targets that demographic that's just started to work and they're like at the bottom tote of the workforce. Like, it's easy to be like, screw this, little pay, shit behavior at work. Like, I don't want to deal with this. Yeah, there are definitely dangers to this. So yeah, let's get into number 1, financial abuse. So I'll probably look around and see if I can find some reports about financial abuse, like the percentage and things like that. There's a lot of legality behind marriage. Marriage is there to serve as a form of protection to the weaker sex, which is generally speaking the woman in heterosexual marriages. So the whole stay-at-home girlfriend trend can be a little bit dangerous because you don't have the legality behind it to protect you. Not that being married is any form of protection either. If you've seen the like trad wife to divorced mom pipeline, divorce sometimes won't really protect you in the way that, you know,
Alimony, you think
will. Not necessarily, but I think even more so, there's almost no legality. Maybe in Canada we have common law that might be a little bit different. I don't know how the States works, but being just title of girlfriend does leave you open to a lot of financial abuse because, like, yeah, maybe he might be paying your own bills, but if he hasn't given you any money and you don't have any money and, you know, something should happen, well, where are you going to get money from? It's not like you have a job and it's not like you have savings. It leaves you really vulnerable. And I don't know about anyone, but when I was broken, had no money, life sucked. So if you are just a girlfriend, or heck, even if you're a wife, you should figure out a way to, you know, get that bag, you know, ask for an allowance and put some of it away. Like, I have read books actually where it was saying that, like, I think it was like back in the day where they would take the allowance and a small percentage of that, pocket it, and then the rest spent on the house. And so that could be like a form of like salary for the wife for doing house chores and labor, which is, yeah, it's unpaid labor. And I think you guys have seen those statistics where the woman does do a large portion of unpaid labor, which is like just not ideal. You're not paid for your labor, but it's still labor, which is very exploitative. Okay, coming in at number 2, one of the other main dangers is that the years out of the workforce don't do you any favors. Not being part of the workforce, even for a year or 2, you're out, you have a gap on your resume. Like, it's really hard to explain, and most employers are not interested in your sob story about, oh, you were raising children, or oh, you were a stay-at-home wife, blah, blah, blah. I've actually seen like these lawyer TikToks explain that even in court, it doesn't go very favorably if you don't have like a legal reason to explain why you were out of the workforce. Like children rearing is actually like not a viable reason. You gave up years of working when you could have worked and you chose not to. It doesn't hold in court. It had to be like you had a disability, you were like uneducated, like you didn't have a degree. Like you have to explain in court why you were not able to get educated and not have a degree. Like what is the reason for it? Because otherwise like it doesn't work in your favor in the court to say like, yeah, like I was stay-at-home girlfriend, stay-at-home wife. If you end up going that route in court, sometimes it never even gets to that. Man just leaves you and that's that. But yeah, say you do decide to go back to the workforce, you're gonna have a huge gap. And in our ageist society, no one is impressed that you're up in this age and you have been out of the workforce for years. Like how are you supposed to explain that? Because the only purpose of you to the company is that you're an employee, right? How productive are you? How good are you at your job? And if you haven't worked, well, you're not going to make, or in their eyes, a good employee. So it doesn't serve you to have that many years out of the workforce. I think at the very least, although it sounds very glamorous to be a stay-at-home girlfriend, wife, you should probably still keep updating your resume by at least having a part-time job in something. At the very least, you still have something on your resume you can like still have in the years, and it doesn't have to be as taxing, a couple times a week, a couple hours, but you don't have that gap. You prevent that gap from happening. Okay, number 3, asking a man for money is really hard. So if you've ever had to ask a man for money, or even a parent, or even anybody ask for money, money is one of those really difficult and precious things that are not easily given up because it is earned through blood, sweat, and tears. So to ask somebody for money is like so heartbreaking. And like I've seen enough TikToks, because I fell down this rabbit hole where they were like, they had difficulty asking the husband for even just like grocery money. Like I remember I saw one TikTok, I really don't think I'm going to find it. TikTok is very hard to go back and find, but essentially the TikToker was saying that she was like, she remembers, like they're divorced now, but she remembers when they were together, it was so difficult to ask her husband for money to buy groceries for them and the kids. She wasn't even asking for anything else, like groceries, like basic Maslow's law of pyramid of needs, food at the bottom. Asking her husband for money was extremely difficult. So I can only imagine what it'd be like as a girlfriend, as a boyfriend, like. And if you disagree with me, that means you grew up privileged, and then in which case, this is a whole different tier. If you are a rich stay-at-home girlfriend, maybe that's different. And I think this might be a class thing. So like, unless you're wealthy as hell, and you're a trust fund baby, and your own father's backing you up, so you don't have to worry about your own man, then that's different. That's a different conversation. And in which case, then, yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. And all these proletariats, they're out of their mind. Like, who knows what they're doing? But if that's not the case, asking your husband, your boyfriend for money is definitely not an easy thing. So sometimes it'd just be better to have your own coin. So that way, asking for money is permissionless. You want to spend something, it's your money. You go ahead and do it. Okay, coming in at number 4, what do you do if he leaves you? So this is a little bit different from what if he cheats, because a man can leave, or like it doesn't have to necessarily be cheating. Although I have read in a study that usually if a man leaves, he only leaves for a better or different. Like, no man jumps into the ocean. A man will jump into another ship. So I've heard. But yeah, what would you do if he leaves? What if he just decides, like, this isn't working out? I know a lot of TikTokers, stay-at-home girlfriends, like, because I know he would never leave me. And, like, the argument is you just don't see older trad wives advocating for this lifestyle. Because all of them, not all of them, but those, they can come out and they can tell the younger gen, you think that right now because you're young and you're pretty and you're in your peak of market value, but when he decides to trade you in for a different model, which we'll get into the other point, or he's just not interested in you anymore, just doesn't find you attractive anymore, what will you do if he leaves? Because you too are no longer peak market value. The years have gone by, you have children, you have a gap in your resume, you're older, you're tired, you don't want to work, you're scared to work, maybe you're not able to work, you have no money to send yourself back to school to get educated. Like, it's so many things that are just so hard and only get harder if he decides to leave you and you don't have those things. Like, if you are educated and you have a degree, you're working. And if you're working, like, why would you give that up? Maybe you just drop down to part-time, but you still have that. Or you'd be smart enough to figure out a way where you get paid a certain percentage of allowance for doing this, for doing that. But if you do consider to become a stay-at-home girlfriend, which I don't advocate at all in the first place, like, let me make myself clear, I don't think it's a good lifestyle choice, to be honest. I think at the very least, maybe part-time, but what will you do if he decides to leave you is a very real and legitimate question that I think that trend doesn't like to address. Like, I love that the pipeline has shown, yeah, this is what happened when that happened, and this is what it was like, and it sucked. So I'm like, thank God for transparency. Okay, coming in at number 5, what will you do if he cheats? And so this one is not necessarily the same as the other one. The first one referring to if he leaves, he's gone and now you have no money coming in. What if he cheats? Might be a little different because he might be cheating and he still wants you. He still wants, chicken 1 and chicken 2, like 2 chicken dinners. But as someone who's been cheated on, I would hate to not be able to kick a dude to the curb because he's the one who pays the bills and pays my food. One, such a heartbreaking experience. Why would you want on top of that, the thing causing the pain is the thing that also pays for the bills? Like, it's just such a horrifying scenario. And that's actually one I fear more, like, in this whole thought. Like, maybe it's just a me thing. Comment down below. I actually find it more horrifying to discover that he's cheating and I'm financially reliant on him than if he were just to leave. Like, if he were just to leave, it's like, at least you weren't cheated on, you weren't betrayed. I think that, like, if he cheats and there's really nothing, like, it just is a speechless circumstance. It's like, I could never. And that's actually the core reason why I think, like, that this trend is so dangerous. Like, could you imagine hating this man and you've caught him cheating and there's, like, nothing you can do? I mean, I suppose you could start plotting your revenge and figuring out a way out. But, like, why did it have to get to the point where he cheated for you to wake up and realize, yeah, this ain't it? So, yeah, I guess that's, like, the last thing I wanted to talk about that I think is, like, the really tricky thing about the stay-at-home girlfriend trend or stay-at-home wife trend is, like, what if he cheats? What if he decides, or when he decides, to trade you in for the younger model? Like, what is one to do? Because I imagine it probably happens when it's time to trade in the new model. Like, I really don't think, although maybe he's doing it even when you're a hot little thing. Do you really want to be figuring out how to jump ship when he's like, you ain't it? And then your market value, and like, this is not my own personal thoughts, my own personal opinion. I think older women, chef's kiss, look at how the French women age. Do you really want to be struggling in a market that, like, has said that they don't value you? Like, I did try dating in my late 20s and that was god awful. Like, and I can only imagine like the later stages. So do you want to enter a market when he like cheats on you and it's like, okay, but that's not even the worst. The worst is like the money. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, he's cheating on you and you're like, I want to leave this man, but what about the money? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, it's like women fought really hard so that you could have a bank account and you could go to work so that you didn't have to do this. And everyone's like, oh, my grandparents loved each other and are still together. Well, yeah, well, it's because your grandma had no choice. Having no choice and wanting to are two separate things. So anyway, that was my take on the stay-at-home girlfriend trend. Comment down below what you guys think. If you are a stay-at-home girlfriend, by no means is this to shame anybody. This is just my own personal opinions, my own personal thoughts, and it's just entertainment at the end of the day. If you're living your best life being a stay-at-home girlfriend / wife, do you, boo. So thank you for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.